Hi, I'm George, and what we're going to be doing in this video is giving you a close-up in terms of how to tape an endotracheal tube in place. Now, one of the things that you will probably find as soon as the endotracheal tube has been inserted into your patient, bag valve tube ventilation is going to commence. So you're going to be ventilating your patient's endotracheal tube with a setup something like this. But for the purposes of this video, we're not going to have this attached to the endotracheal tube. We simply want to show you the steps and how to properly secure a tube in place without the distraction of the bag or anything like that. However, when you are taping the endotracheal tube in place, you will need to have the tube secured with somebody holding on to the tube. Your bagger will be attached to the endotracheal tube and ventilation will take place so that the patient's safety is kept in mind while you're ventilating and taping the tube in place at the same time. You'll also be wearing gloves when you're taping the endotracheal tube in place, but for this specific video, I'm not going to be wearing any PPE because we're not doing this in a hospital setting. So I'll need an extra set of hands to help me with this video, so we'll get some hands come in here to help me. So we're going to assume that the tube is secured as soon as the tube has been placed in the patient and it's been confirmed to be inside the patient's trachea. Now when you're taping the tube in place, there's a couple of things to remember. The pilot balloon line and where it's going to wind up when you're doing the taping, the tape itself, and ensuring that you've got it correctly placed behind the patient's neck, the patient's ears, as well as their upper lip and their nose. When you're putting the tapes on the patient, you don't want to have the tape going over the top of the patient's lips, going on the patient's ear, going inadvertently on the patient's hair, and the tape should be fairly balanced on both sides. So somebody has to secure the tube to ensure that it's not going anywhere while still providing positive pressure ventilation. So communication with your teammate is very, very important. So let's start. And when it comes to taping the tube in place, you can choose to tape it in the corner of the patient's mouth for extra security or stability. And some people, though, prefer to tape the tube dead center or midline. The choice is up to you. We prefer to tape it in the corner of the patient's mouth without creating undue pressure on the patient's lips. So we're going to start taping on the side that the tube is on. So I'm going to get my assistant to hold on to the tape right over here. And I'm going to take the tape and start placing it on the patient. So we'll take this tongue depressor off. And when you start to rip the tape, always tell the patient that you're going to be tearing the tape so they're not concerned by that. So sir, we're going to tear the tape. So when I tear the tape like this, I'm going to have the bottom piece and the top piece. And the order for the tapes is bottom, top, top, bottom. So I'm going to take this first tape, that's the bottom tape, and I'm going to go right across the patient's face, in between their nose and their upper lip, and place it down securely on the other side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the top tape under their ear, up to the patient, corner of their mouth. I'm going to take the tube from my assistant, so I've got the tube. And now what I'm going to do is just simply take this tape and feed it around the tube. Can you get this in, Cliff? 1, 2. While I'm still holding onto the tube. 3 times. There. Okay, so we've got that first set of tape on the patient, just like that. It's in the corner of the mouth. Now what I haven't done is I didn't want to tape the tube to the patient's, to the pilot balloon line. I didn't want to tape that to the endotracheal tube. Now what I need to do is tape from the other side. So I'm going to get my assistant to grab onto the tube. Do you have the tube?
I do.
Now we're going to rip the tape on this side. Take the tongue depressor off. And for whatever reason, the tape isn't sticking to our mannequin that well. I'm going to tear the tape again. So I'm ripping the tape. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start with the top tape again. So the order again, bottom, top, starting on the side that the tube's on. And now when we're going and commencing on this side, the order is top, bottom. So I'm taking the top tape now, going across the patient's face between their nose and their mouth. When I get to this side, I'm going to take the tube from my patient. So I've got the tube. And now I'm going to take this tape and go around, just hold that line up, and wrap it around 1, 2, 3 times. And one thing you're going to notice is I'm not working the tape up the tube. I'm just keeping it in one spot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the procedure all together by taking the bottom tape, bringing it across so it follows the same track. And now I'm going to place this tape down on my patient's other tape, like so. And once I'm done, I should have a tape job that looks something like this. If you come in a bit closer, you can see that the tape doesn't go on the patient's ears. It doesn't touch the patient's lips except where it comes across to anchor to the tube. It's not on the patient's nose. And on this side, same thing, we don't have the tape on the patient's ears. So once you're done taping the tube in place, that's kind of what it's going to look like. And it should be secure that it's not going to come out. If the tube does become, or the tape does become loose because of secretions or sweat or anything like that, if the security of the tube is ever in doubt, the tape should be replaced and a new set should be placed on your patients. And that's in essence how you secure an endotracheal tube in place using 1-inch cloth tapes. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Until next time, this is George, out.